Hello, how are you? Welcome to a big truck driving by my house. It's very loud, but welcome to Ask Abbie, a little quick video. This probably won't be quick. I don't know who I'm kidding. This won't be quick. This will probably be like 30 minutes, but I always feel like, oh, I'm just popping in, and then I talk forever. But anyways, I just wanted to talk again give another update, like talk a little bit about industry update stuff. Things are changing so fast all the time. In a lot of ways, they're changing fast. In a lot of ways, they're not changing at all, and things are dragging along very slowly. So it's all just like, it's all sorts of different things. But even if nothing is changing, I still feel like it's appropriate for us to get together and talk about things that have maybe changed, or new things we've learned, or things because at some point something's going to change, right? Hopefully. So that's what we're going to do today. I also thought it would be fun to tell you about a book that I'm currently loving right now, so that we could maybe even, I've been kind of toying with the idea of maybe even doing like a book club, maybe starting another little sub Facebook group for us to do, where we could like pick a book every month and read it together, maybe like personal development or even career or something like that, so that we're kind of learning from each other. I think that would be really fun. So that's part of the reason I'm sharing one of the books that I'm loving right now, just to kind of throw it out there, see if anybody else would be interested in something like that. And then I'm also going to do some quick coaching this at the end. So we're going to be I'm going to be explaining some strategies for answering the interview question, tell me about a time you had a disagreement with a supervisor. And the reason that I thought that this would be a cool thing to do is because we've been doing study hall. We've been hosting a study hall a couple times a week for the last couple weeks. And in between our study hall sessions where we're working, and then in between those working sessions where you're working on your own stuff, self-driven, we kind of ask each other questions, or people ask me questions, and we talk a little bit about strategy. And this question came up a couple times. So if you were in study hall, you've already kind of heard me talk about it, but I thought that this is a really great one to share with the public at large. So let's go ahead and dive in. Welcome. If you're here, I would love for you to say something in the comments, whether you're on YouTube or you're on Facebook. All those comments are popping up on my screen as I see them. I see Lala's here. Yes, I'm so excited. She said she feels like she's the president of my fan club, which I'm a big fan of hers too. But it's kind of funny because she's been in all the study halls, and she's been able to hop on a lot of the lives. So I do feel like her and I have been hanging out like a ton. So, which is kind of fun. Yeah, so just keep posting. And if you have any questions or anything that you want me to specifically address, post that in the comments, and I'll either try to address it here or move it to our next Ask Abbie Live. Okay, so now let's talk about what we're going to talk about today. First, I want to talk about updates, industry updates, and there's not a ton to update. Things are still crumbling, honestly, in a lot of ways. Norwegian Airlines just closed all of their US-based crew bases. Now, they're a company that's actually based in Ireland. So they're not a US airline where they were able to get bailout money from the United States, because they're not based here. They don't pay the same taxes. And they're headquartered in, like I said, Ireland. I believe that's correct. Even though their name is Norwegian, there's better tax benefits for being based in Ireland as a country as opposed to Norway. But they had several crew bases here in the US, and they were actually growing pretty well. They had Fort Lauderdale, they had New York, and they even had some West Coast bases that were fairly new. Well, they have closed all those bases down. It's furloughed. I saw the numbers today. I don't remember them, but it's thousands of pilots and flight attendants that are US based, US citizens flying that have lost their jobs. So that, they're furloughed, but more than likely that's not going to be something that comes back soon. So we're definitely holding space for them, and being, very aware that things in some cases are continuing to deteriorate. But there are some positive things. So the price of oil has dropped substantially. So that's not so great if you're in oil and gas industry, but we're talking about aviation. I remember back in 2008, 2009, when the industry, when the economy was really, really not doing well and aviation was struggling. The last time aviation was really struggling. And part of what contributed to that struggle was the cost of fuel. It was so expensive to run those airplanes that if they weren't able to fill them up, they were losing tons of money. So I'm encouraged that if gas or the price of oil and gas and jet fuel stays low, that when we are able to travel again in just a couple months, I'm hoping that even these cheap tickets, if we can get enough people to purchase these cheap tickets, the cost of operating the flights might be low enough that it's able to sort of get us started. Now, I'm not an aviation economist or anything like that, but I do know a little bit about, if the cost of operating the business is lower, then it gives you more leeway to, lower your prices, which can help increase demand. And that's really what we're trying to do. Right now, the reason that aviation is struggling is because there's no demand. No one is buying airline tickets because they're not allowed to leave their house or they're afraid to leave their house. We're all working together to keep as many people from getting the virus as possible. And that comes with no non-essential travel, which means people who traveled for leisure, and even lots of people who traveled for work are no longer buying tickets. So that's the part that's really why aviation is suffering at this moment. There's no demand for the product that they offer. So I'm hoping that as the demand starts to go up a little bit, and as we're released and the virus is more under control and it is safe for us to be able to go out, that maybe airlines will be able to keep those ticket prices low since fuel is low and more people can travel. That's my optimistic hope for the industry. I also wanted to mention that there are 2 airlines that are still accepting applications. So right now, this is a sticky kind of thing, and I know sometimes we get a lot of feelings about it, especially in the Facebook group. But there are currently 2 airlines that are accepting applications for flight attendant. Hiring, I'm not sure. I don't know if they actually have HR people handing out job offers. I don't think so at this moment. But there are 2 airlines that are currently accepting applications that I remember. There could be more. Jason's going to pop the link to the hiring list in the comments so that we can see it, and then I'll move it up to the description so it's a little easier to access. But right now it looks like Mesa is accepting applications. So that's a small regional. They're based in Arizona, and Mesa, Arizona is kind of where they're headquartered, but they do have crew bases around the country. Louisville, I don't know, somebody pop in the Mesa crew bases. I think that they have a Houston, but it could be a Dallas. Oh, it's Dallas, Phoenix. So they actually have several crew bases across the United States. They're an airline that's been a pretty stable regional airline, actually had a lot of positive improvements in their work rules and in their contract and things like that over the last 10 years or so, which is kind of cool. IAD, thank you. There's one in Dulles. So that's one airline that is still accepting applications. Now, they also do video interviews, so you may actually get a video interview invitation from them. And then another one that's accepting applications is not actually an airline yet. So Breeze Airways is an airline that is a startup that is actually being started by one of the people who started JetBlue. So one of the executives there, and he is, Lala says, what about Breeze? And he is starting a new airline. So they are accepting applications, but it's very, very preliminary. And I am really concerned about how this economic downturn and all of this will affect a startup. Because, they don't already have their systems in place, and the work that they were doing to get the airline closer to launching, I imagine a lot of the money has dried up, as well as the demand again. So there's not as much of a need for a new airline, because right now there are hundreds of seat miles flying empty all over the world. And so there's not as much of a demand. But I wouldn't be surprised if Breeze just sort of pushed off its launch. So we were going to see them start flying maybe later this year. I don't know if that's going to happen necessarily, but if you are still an aspiring flight attendant, My advice to you is to apply for every application that you are able to apply for. Because if you just go in a big bucket somewhere and they call you back in 12 months, cool. You're probably going to be near the top of the list. If they don't and they say, never mind, we're starting over, okay, well, you still didn't lose anything. But I still encourage you to go ahead and continue to apply, because if an airline is accepting applications, if they've decided to ask aspiring flight attendants to apply, then go ahead and throw your hat in the ring. Okay, they're not going to be flying you around in any kind of unsafe manner. They're not going to require you to like go to an interview next week or something while you're on shelter in place or anything like that. So if you're afraid of that kind of stuff. Yeah, so that was a little bit about what I wanted to talk about those airlines. We also, I kind of mentioned this a little bit. I want to tell you about two things that we kind of have going on here at Flight Attendant Career Connection as far as resources. Okay, so study hall is one of them. Let me get my little cool picture that I can pop up with all of the days and times. So study hall is every Friday. Continuing through May, it's going to be every Friday. And then yesterday we had study hall. That's Monday the 20th. And then we have study hall this Friday because it's every Friday. And then we have it Saturday as well. We have it next Wednesday, next Friday. And then I'll be putting out another schedule for the rest of May. It will be every Friday in May, but then it'll be a couple other days, weekend days or weekday days later in the evening, trying to accommodate as many people as possible. So if you haven't heard yet, I've said it, I've been discussing it for a while. So I'm going to very briefly, basically what we do is we all get together and it's a virtual co-working opportunity so that you can, everyone gets together, brings your Flight Attendant Career Connection workbook. You do have to be a customer that has purchased the workbook to join us. So you bring your workbook or whatever class you're working on, and we work together for 25 minutes. Then we talk for about 10 minutes. We strategize, bounce ideas off of each other, learn from each other a little bit as far as interview strategy goes. And then we work again, and it lasts 2 hours. Like I said, Lala's been to a lot of them. You do, which she's always like, yeah, I love it, which it's really, really, especially as extroverts, who love aviation, it's very soothing for my soul. It's very encouraging to me. It's very energizing for me in a lot of ways to get to spend time with there's usually like 35 of us there, 35 people who are kind of all working to the same goal and all kind of have ideas. And I was thinking about saying it this way. What do you think about that? Kind of thing. There's something that's very energizing about it and empowering in a lot of ways too, especially since we don't have a lot of opportunities. I'm like sweating a little bit. Sorry. It's hot here in Hawaii and I'm excited. I find it very energizing. So please register. The link is Jason just shared the link over here. Here's what the link looks like to register. So you click on that. I'll move it up to the description, especially in case you're watching on YouTube, because I know it's just showing up on Facebook, but you'll register. It will ask you if you've purchased the workbook. If you've purchased it in any way in a package or on its own, say yes. If not, you can click on the preparation package and get it. It's on sale right now, actually, and then register and you'll get the link in your email so you can join us. Let's see, here's, they are so valuable. This is study hall, so valuable. Abbie gives so much information at no cost and helps you keep your interview skills sharp. And that's a really good point too, because we're not interviewing right now, but working on your skills, even if you don't feel like you need to improve a ton, just practicing to keep them sharp is really a good point too. So that's one thing. We have study hall, and then we're doing a free workshop. Yay. Okay. So this Sunday, I am teaching. Let me see if I can get it up there. Is it going to put me up there? Oh, my thing is being weird. Oh, there it goes. There it goes. 5 non-negotiable actions that will prepare your flight attendant career for takeoff. So this is a training. I've taught it a couple of times. It actually was funny when I went to update this picture. I realized I had taught it last on on October 26th. So exactly 6 months later, we're doing it again. So if you've taken this class before, you're welcome to join us. It's free. There is no registration required for this one. I will be teaching it here on Facebook and YouTube. So the same way that you're watching this live video right now is the way that you will be watching the workshop. So this workshop is about 2 hours long, and it is a full workshop where we're going to talk about the 5 non-negotiable actions that will prepare your flight attendant career for takeoff. So it's sort of a beginner class in a lot of ways, but of course, everyone is welcome. It's free. The replay will still be available on YouTube afterwards if you cannot make it live, but this is when I'm teaching it live, and then you can watch the replay later if you would like. No registration required, totally free, and I'm excited to be teaching that. So put it on your calendar. I'll also probably create an event in the Facebook group so that you can say you're going, so Facebook would remind you too. All right, so those are my 2 upcoming classes that we have going on. I kind of mentioned the preparation package too, that includes the workbook. If you haven't purchased that, that one is not free. That package is something that you would purchase. But right now it's a $72 value. It's 2 classes and the workbook bundle, which is worth, if you buy them separately, it's $72. And they're all on sale for $27 right now. I extended it through the end of May. So if you see something that says through the end of April, that's old. We're still in shelter in place, so it's still on sale. So through the end of May. I think we're going to get a link up for that in a few minutes too. Okay, so those are the things that I wanted to tell you about, sort of like update stuff. And next, let me check out my notes. Okay, good. So now here, yep, there's the preparation package. So the preparation package link right there to purchase that, and you get everything instantly in your email. So I'll put that in the description too. Let's talk now about a book that I'm currently loving. So I kind of mentioned a minute ago that I think I might do a book club. So if you're interested in that, please let me know in the comments. If you're like, yeah, a book club sounds fun. So basically the book club would be free. You would need to buy the book or check it out from the library, which, you can, if you don't have an app, your library card app yet, where you can check out the Kindle books and the audiobooks for free, you need to get it because it's amazing. I think probably every county probably has something like that. But I've been checking out books, mostly fiction, just to kind of like give my head some relief and some like mindlessness. But that's been kind of fun. But anyways, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a book that makes you smarter, not a fiction book. Not that some fiction actually does make you smarter. But anyways, the book that I'm loving right now is called Everything is Figure Outable, and it's written by Marie Forleo. So Marie Forleo is she worked for Tony Robbins when she, well, not really at the beginning of her career. At the beginning of her career, y'all, she was a Crunch fitness DVD class leader thing. And then she became a majorly amazing business coach. And she worked for Tony Robbins. She was on staff with him for a while. And then she now has her own company, and she helps women and entrepreneurs create the business and the life they love. I think that's kind of like her tagline, the business and the life that they love. So she helps them create that. But this is her new book. It came out a couple months ago, and I've been a Marie Forleo fan for a long time. I just love everything about her. I think she's so pretty, and like her hair's so great. And I actually got to meet her one time, which is really cool, but that's not the story. I should have brought my picture. Should have shared. Maybe I'll put in the Facebook group of the picture of when I met her. I just remembered that I met her actually. So anyways, this book is not really a business book, although she is a entrepreneur, but this book is about how everything is figure outable. So that's something that her mom taught her when she was a little girl. In fact, using those words, that everything is figure outable. And that is something that has guided her life. And so she's been able to accomplish all the goals, not all the goals, but a lot of the goals that she has set for herself, because she really does believe in her heart that everything is figure outable. And so this book sort of walks you through how you can change your mindset and how you can make sure that you're coming up with solutions to things, to problems. And I thought that this book would be very fitting for this month if we do, if we're going to do a book club, this might be our first pick. I was thinking for May because I really, really am enjoying this book. But it's also very timely for now because we are in a place where it feels like there is no opportunity. As an aspiring flight attendant, it feels like there is no opportunity. But that doesn't change the fact that everything is figure outable. How can we still reach our goals? How can we be working today to set ourselves up to be ready to launch when the opportunity comes? How can we work on our interview skills? How can we make our resume look better? What can we learn? What can we do? What books can we read that can make us better candidates so that when we're ready to interview, when the opportunity presents itself, you're ready and you haven't just been, waiting and getting all soft and weak on me, okay? Because we've been working hard to be strong in Flight Attendant Career Connection. So good. Oh, look, see, she's actually reading it. Lala's reading it right now. Cool. Yes, it's such a great book. Yeah, and she's Marie Forleo is a New York girl. She is from New York, like born and raised. She sometimes in some of her videos does this really cool New Jersey accent where she sounds like Jersey Shore cast, which I always think is really funny. But yeah, so I love her. She's really cool. Good. I'm seeing a couple of people saying that they would love to do a book club. So if you would like to do a book club, please keep commenting. If you're watching the replay, let me know if you're going to do a book club, because as much as I would love for it to be just like me and Lala in the book club, because we love hanging out together, we probably would want it to be a little bit more people. Okay. So that's the book that I'm loving right now. And then last and next thing, thank you for hanging with me, guys. The next and the last thing that we're going to be doing is we're going to talk, and I don't even have any pictures for this, so it's just me. We're going to talk, I'm going to do a quick coaching session around the STAR format question. Tell me about a time that you had a disagreement with a supervisor or a manager or someone in leadership over you, depending on how this question is phrased. Now, this is a STAR format question. We know that because they're asking us to tell a story. So tell me about a time when is a STAR format question. Not every question you encounter in an interview will be a STAR format question, but this one is because they're asking us to tell them a story. STAR is an acronym that helps you tell your story in a way that is organized and efficient and hits all the points that they're looking for. You will, if you Google around about flight attendant interviews, or if you ask, people will say, make sure you know the STAR format. Make sure you always answer in STAR format. That's not exactly the best advice, because you don't always answer in STAR format, but when they're asking a STAR format question, you are answering in STAR format. So that's the acronym. In that preparation package that I was talking about, one of the classes is a STAR format training. It's about an hour and a half long, all about STAR format, all the questions. I probably go over this one in that class too. But if you're curious about STAR format or you feel like you're struggling or lacking, please get the preparation package. STAR format. STAR stands for if somebody's on, if they could pop in the comments, just write this down. Situation, task, action, and result. That is what STAR stands for. Situation, task, action, and result. Okay. So this acronym is just a guide to help you organize. Thank you so much for popping that in the comments. So this is just a guide to help you walk through your STAR format answer. Okay. So it sounds like yoga, for your interview answer, but it's not. So let's go ahead and talk about this question. Tell me about a time that you had a disagreement with a supervisor. Disagreement is not the same as argument. It's not the same as fight. Disagreement just means that they said, did, or announced, decided something that you say, I don't think I would have done it that way. I don't think that's the best way to do it. I think I know a better way to do that. So it could be, make sure your bar is low for this. It does not have to be something where you're in somebody's face or where you're like, that is completely wrong. It could just be you don't agree with them. So if you've been in hospitality, it could be something about like the way you set up the dining room or the way that you set up the place settings, or if you're doing a catering event, the color of the flowers. Like it's just something that you disagreed with. It could be about the way that the schedule comes out, like the lunch schedule. He has 2 people going to lunch at noon and you and you know that's the busiest time of day. Why not have 2 people go at 11 so that you have that extra person at noon? It's just like you would have done it different. Like, I don't completely agree with that. It could be a little bit bigger than that. Like, they are asking you to do something that goes against company policy. Like, oh yeah, we only keep the milk till it expires. We keep the milk till it expires, but we just smell it. And as long as it's good, we serve it. And you're like, wow, I disagree with that. It could be a little bigger like that, because that kind of goes into breaking rules, but it doesn't have to be that they are breaking a rule for you to disagree with them. You could just think that there would be a better way to do it, a different way to do it. Okay, so there's where we start when you're coming up with your story. Next, you're going to, star format, you're going to put it in your star format. So you're going to set it up. Star situation is the first one. So one time when I was working at Applebee's, that's your situation. And then your task is now the problem. One time when I was working at Applebee's, I had my supervisor asked me to set the table without forks. This is not how we normally set the table, but he said that he thought that it would be better if the forks were handed out with the menus. Now, I'm making up kind of a ridiculous situation, but this is just for an example. I never worked at Applebee's. This is not about Applebee's. Applebee's, no opinion of Applebee's. So, I like Applebee's. I do have an opinion. Back to the story. The supervisor asked me to set the tables without forks. We normally set the table with forks, but he said he would like for the forks to be handed out with the menus because he thought that it was a nicer presentation. I knew that can be very difficult, and also it can be a bit of a contamination issue to have the forks laying on the menus when you're handing them out, because the menus aren't cleaned as often as the forks are. So after our meeting, I just pulled him aside and I said, do you think that I just pulled him aside and I said, I don't know that I think that that's the best way to do it. I understand that we're trying to keep the fork, that is a nicer presentation, but I'm nervous that the forks will get dirty or that people might be uncomfortable. And I actually made a suggestion that maybe we wrap the forks in a napkin before we laid them on the menu to hand to the customer. And he said that he thought that was a good idea and he hadn't thought about it that way. And so we went ahead and rolled up all of the forks so that they would still be clean inside of the napkin. And we were able to hand out the forks with the menus that night, and it went really well. And all the customers really enjoyed getting their fork with their menu. So as a result, it was something that we adopted moving forward, and it really elevated the service at our restaurant. Now, of course, that's ridiculous because nobody wants the fork with the menu, but that is how it should look. Okay, so whatever your story is, there can be a little bit of pull and take. So basically what you want to do is when you figure there's something, when you saw something you didn't agree with, so I didn't agree with that. This is my story. I didn't agree with that. What you want to do is have a conversation with your supervisor. So either bring it up or pull them aside or raise your hand and ask a question. You do not, this is important though, you do not need to have convinced them to change the policy for this question to be successful. Okay, so really, as long as you're speaking up and you're saying, hey, I think we can do it this way better. So there's like this famous story that I heard, it's probably not that famous, but I think it's a really cool story that I heard about when I was in training at Continental. And they told us a story about when American Airlines, one of the flight attendants suggested that they only put one olive in the martinis in first class. Y'all can tell how long ago this was. That they only put one olive in the martinis in first class, and because she noticed most of the customers were only eating one olive, and so that was her suggestion. And the company took that policy, changed it, said, okay, do one olive for everyone, and it saved American Airlines millions of dollars in olive money. So that is sort of where we're coming from with this question. When did I disagree with something that my supervisor did and I went and I talked to them? And even if you don't convince them and you say, he explained to me that he really thought that the forks could be on the menus without a napkin, and he really wanted us to try it that way that night. So we went ahead and did it, and it really did work out okay. That would be okay. Does that make sense? So it would be okay if you didn't convince them to change the rule. It's really the point of this is that you saw something and you spoke up. Okay. All right, guys. So that's kind of the end of that one. All right, good. So that's the end of our coaching. I don't really see any other questions in there. Thank you for popping the situation, task, action, and result in there for me. All right, guys. So again, if you're just catching this, if you're watching the replay, if you would like to do a book club, let me know. Thank you so much for spending time with me. Oh, look at that. It's just at 30 minutes. It's 29 minutes and 40 seconds. Just like I thought it would be, like 30 minutes. I'm excited to be doing more lives. Please stay tuned. I love it when you jump on and you interact. I also love to look at the comments later if you're watching the replay and, have a conversation that way too in the comments. It means a lot to me that you're here with me. And I will talk to you soon. Hopefully I'll see you in Study Hall Friday or Saturday. And I definitely want to see you in the free webinar on Sunday. Talk to you later. Bye.